everyone. Welcome to the first RC podcast. So, a little backstory. This podcast, its kind of mission is to bring in all kinds of ideas and bring them into a environment where they're welcome, where they're discussed, and it's okay to disagree with people. It's okay to share different ideas. This is something that I've been really looking forward to, as I love having these kinds of conversations. And today, for my first guest, we have Eric Jin Cheng. So, Eric, say hi.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this podcast. Super excited for Ryan to be starting this. Ryan was actually one of the guests of my podcast too, with Daniel Chen. We hosted that, I think, a little over a year ago now. So
Yeah. That was fun. We just talked about why I was single for so long. Still am.
All up available on my YouTube channel.
Yeah. Well, Eric, how about you just tell us a quick little bit about yourself for everyone who's watching, the two viewers who will probably see this?
Yeah, for sure. So the two people who see this, probably Daniel and Angie. My name's Eric. I usually go by Eric Jin Cheng, and I am, speaking more on the academic and professional side. I am going into my fourth year studying business technology management at Sauder School of Business. I was originally going into art school back in high school, but then, things took a turn and I've honestly been loving it since. A little bit about me, I really enjoy adventure. So I like hiking a lot, camping, anything that has to do with physical activity. Lately, my latest muse has been cycling as well as rock climbing. But yeah, still very involved in the arts. I really like writing, whether it be journaling, short stories, or poetry. That's kind of my thing, as well as spreadsheets. I like spreadsheets. Yeah, I think that's the most solder thing you could say.
Pretty much. Yeah, don't forget your push-up TikToks, man.
Oh, I don't want my TikTok to blow up like yours, so keep my TikTok private for now.
Okay. So yeah, Eric I'm really happy that you're going to be my first guest. We have a lot of things that we both really like to talk about. The first thing is going to be on the lighter side. We're going to be talking about Star Wars, the Clone Wars, the last season. How did you feel?
I think to preface our viewers, we have to tell them who we are, I guess, in terms of Star Wars fans.
My light. Oh,
so
great start.
It's all good.
Go ahead.
So the Clone Wars, which is an animated TV show, started I think in 2008.
I think it was 2008.
Yeah,
years.
so it's old, right? But this show started off as kind of like a flop because they had a Clone Wars movie at first, and a lot of people thought it was a flop. I personally liked it because anything with Star Wars, loved it.
We're also 8.
So. Yeah. So we both, Ryan and I, we both just really, really like Star Wars. Like, I'm sure I speak on behalf of him when I say he's read comics before. He's seen the movie multiple times. He's cried during Star Wars at least once. Probably owned a lightsaber.
I do. It's in my closet right now. I can go grab it right now.
Exactly.
You keep talking about it. I'll grab my lightsaber.
That's good. But yeah, we're just big fans of Star Wars, and I think growing up, it was really nice because it really just expanded my creativity and kind of thought about what's out there. What else could technology bring to us? Very nice.
Yeah, it's one of the old ones. It's one of the classics.
Yeah, contrary to Green, I actually had a Sith one. Sith is the bad guys and had the red one. Yeah, I had Darth Vader's.
I'm sure most people know that. Hopefully, if you don't. Ugh.
Mm-hmm. We can't be friends with you.
Yeah.
But anyways, we both just really like Star Wars, and it really has a lot of creative aspects to it. I personally just thought of what else is out there? What could we do with technology? I can't wait for flying ships without having to burn so much gasoline. But speaking towards the Clone Wars. The last season I think aired a week and a half ago or 2 weeks ago, and it was I was left speechless. I was just left. Filoni did a really good job with directing the show, and the storyline worked great. The last season had a couple arcs, 2 or 3 arcs, and I was shocked. I thought that I had standards for the last season. I thought it was gonna be up to my standards, up to par. But it completely blew me away with the editing, the storyline, as well as how well they kind of wrapped it all up.
Yeah, I agree with you there. One thing I really appreciated about this last season is how human they made the clones, how human they made them feel to us, considering we knew what was going to happen at the end of the season. We knew Order 66 was going to happen. And, in episode 3, we don't really see that struggle between the Jedi and the clones, as the Jedi have to come to terms, right, with the clones betraying them because most of them just quickly died. But here, like, you see Ahsoka and she's like, I don't want to kill any of them. I know they've got that chip in them right now, and I know they're trying to kill me, but I don't want to kill them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was just great. And seeing Rex as well as he cries.
Out of everyone though that was introduced in the Clone Wars, like other than like the OG characters like Yoda, like Obi-Wan, Ahsoka was one of those characters that really embodied what it meant to be a Jedi. For those viewers who have a basic depth of knowledge about Star Wars, I think Ahsoka really reminds me of Qui-Gon Jinn.
Mm-hmm.
She really was she wasn't cold-hearted and emotionless like Windu was, but she also wasn't as emotional as Anakin was. She was kind of very stay true to her values, do good, that kind of thing.
Yeah, she was a great character to relate to. And I think her story arc is one of the best story arcs I've seen in a TV series. Like,
100%.
she goes as like this really cocky young teenager, and to kind of see the person she grows into. I mean, a lot of the characters nowadays that we see, they stay cocky, right? They stay that overconfident self, but Ahsoka really, as she transforms going
Mhm.
through the seasons, and it's great to see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
I
So,
think,
what is one thing you wish they added to the season finale?
oh my gosh, the way they ended. Oh, this is Rocky, by the way. Up, come, come. My dog, Rocky. He's a 2-year-old golden doodle. He's often a favorite of many people.
Yeah, he seems to like people a lot.
Yeah, not dogs though. He has dog friends, but then he definitely has more human friends than dog friends. Anyways, one thing that before I say my answer, I think that what the Clone Wars did with the last episode is they really just wanted to, they left loose ends for sure, made you question and think about things. But I think the biggest takeaway is that we have to let go. The Skywalker saga is over. They're going to move on to other things within Star Wars, but Ahsoka, Anakin, Obi-Wan, and all those guys, it's really just telling us to let go, stop thinking so much about what's going to happen next. Give us a break. You already know what's going to happen next with episode 3, 4, 5, 6, and the rest. But one thing I wish they really added in there was I I wanted to see more emotion from the other clones. If anyone else struggled the way Rex struggled, I guess Rex really embodied, represented the rest of the clones because he is one of them. But I was just wondering, because we were able to see the emotions of Rex, from his expression for shooting the first clones that entered the medical room, he looked like he was in pain. He shot one of his brothers, but I wonder if there was any other clone that felt the same. Did Gregor feel the same? Did Wolf feel the same? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. One thing I wanted to see was Rex meet up with Gregor and Wolf,
Mm.
which would have been great. Yeah, and just see how they reacted, because they had their chips removed, as we see in Rebels, but Wolf had that thing with his eye, so his chip probably got damaged, and then Gregor had amnesia, so his chip probably got damaged too. So it actually makes sense why those
Mm.
two made it out of the Clone Wars without
Yeah.
being affected by Order 66. But yeah, you're right. It's like it's kind of time to let stuff go. Like, the same story has been going on for so long. It's time for new stories, and that's what they're doing over in Disney. They're planning some newer things. They're going like hundreds of years in the past and creating new stories, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, I think it's like it's called the Star Wars Legacy. I don't know what they're talking about, but I know what you're
Yeah.
talking about. I also do wish that they added more time for the commandos.
That would
You
have been
know,
great.
Delta Squad, when they were retrieving, they were going to one of those outposts in one of the episodes where, what is Darth Maul's brother's name again?
Savage Opress.
Yeah, Savage, where Savage went to an outpost and just slaughtered like the Jedi and Padawan, and then Delta Squad had to retrieve their bodies back. I thought that was such a cool scene. I like fanboyed at that moment. I was like, I want more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was definitely great. This series giving us more of the clones for sure. That was definitely one of the highlights.
Yeah.
Yeah. So moving on to a new topic, we are in the middle of a pandemic. We both live in BC and have regulations starting to slowly be lifted since we're doing pretty good with numbers. But what have you been up to, man? What have you been doing to keep yourself from getting too bored? You got any projects you're working on?
Yeah. So when school ended, and we had to start attending school online, I was like, wow, this is great. I only have to roll out of bed, click on Collaborate Ultra or Zoom, and then attend class, and that was it. Write a couple papers, do a couple projects, submit. But then I think a week in, I was like, I feel so lazy and like fat. It wasn't the actually feeling fat. I just felt so slow, and I feel like my body was like becoming like a piece of goo.
Mm-hmm.
And so after that, I kind of just started doing some personal development. I did a lot of reflection. I usually journal quite a bit. So every 3 months. So I did one in January and doing one in April. And then the next one is going to be in end of June, July-ish. But yeah, I did some journaling to figure out, okay, like what is the things I learned? What are the things I learned within third year? And then who have I become this year, and what are the skills I lacked? What are the skills I gained? Yeah, and then after that, I signed up for summer courses and been really just trying to stay fit. So doing a lot of home workouts as well as cycling quite a bit. I was supposed to go to Red Bull in Toronto for a business insights position. I was bummed out at the beginning, but then I realized like this pandemic is bigger than all of us. It's not really the time to like be selfish and like, oh dang, why didn't they take me? It's to really understand that you have your problems, other people have their problems, but yours doesn't technically overweigh theirs. We just all have to do our part to stay home, stay safe, not try to put other people in danger, like going out and protesting and not socially distancing. Yeah, I think that's how it's affected me the most, being home so much, and as compared to traveling to school and then doing my work there, having meetings in person, doing a lot of collaboration, stuff like that. But been able to really keep up with things online because with Zoom, with Collaborate, with Skype, still trying to find ways to stay connected with people and check out how they're doing, because for some quarantine has really affected their mental health, and that's important to stay. It's still one of the priorities as young adults to focus on.
Yeah, no, I definitely relate. I mean, like you, I also lost an intern position this summer too. But like you said, everyone's really suffering from this pandemic. There are people who are sorry.
Were you about to work at the one at UBC?
Yeah, I was gonna work at Triumph.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was gonna work on helping construct a dark matter detector. That might still be a possibility in the future, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people though who are losing small businesses that they started, who are losing loved ones, specifically grandparents or parents, through this, and it's everyone's just got their own different struggles, and it sometimes just like you gotta look at it and be like, hey, you know what? Yeah, my life's not as great right now, but there's a lot of people who are really struggling. I can deal with not having an internship this summer if it means that some people are able to stay healthy. Yeah. So yeah, how's Sauder dealing with this? Have they been communicating with you guys a lot?
Yeah, actually, a lot of professors have been, checking up on us and just saying like, "How are you? You doing okay?" and like that. A lot of big misconception about Sauder
Mhm.
is how cold the faculty is and like how cold the environment is. But I kind of disagree because the people that I've known throughout the 4 years of Sauder, and like the people I try to be friends with and try to get to know, they're all really supportive people, and I
Mhm.
think it's just the image of business and being a business school that's what gets people. But yeah, professors and admins have been like just telling us like, hey, we're gonna wait for more notice, but whenever we get them, we'll tell you. Professors have been really nice and checking up on their students, like sending like class-wide messages. But yeah, just honestly waiting for UBC to send out more updates.
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. Like I mean, especially at UBC, there's so many preconceptions about solder, right? Especially with the whole like solder snakes thing. And everyone kind of
Yeah.
has that going in. But I mean, just from knowing you guys for so long, all the friends I have in solder, I don't really see that. And everyone's very supportive of
Mhm.
each other in there. And a lot of people I see trying to do good through this. So yeah, it's awesome to
Yeah.
see in your school.
Yeah, I think it's just like a mentality that some people have.
Yeah.
Like, of course, in every faculty, there's always going to be that the snake, the
Hmm.
one that embodies all the bad qualities
Yeah.
and really just get a bad rap for like they don't represent the faculty, right? But I
Hmm.
think as long as students, we really understand that by being yourself is okay. Uh, you don't have to be anyone that you're not. Treat other people poorly just because you want to. Honestly, just being yourself is the best thing that's going to help you. And there's no one pressuring anyone to be like others. Like you're
Yeah.
you're fine being Ryan. Ryan, you should be Ryan. You should be anyone else. Just do
Yeah.
you. You do. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the world we live in right now is so used to generalization. We're always taking big groups of people and sticking big stickers on the entire group of people while forgetting there's a whole bunch of individuals in this group that all have different opinions and share different beliefs and everything, right? But we're just so used
Mhm.
to sticking that sticker on there and kind of going from this point on to another point. A lot of that's being done right now, I guess, towards the Asian community, right? Due to coronavirus, and there's a lot of labeling going on. And has that been affecting you at all, or have you seen that been affecting family or friends?
Not me personally,
Hmm.
because I've been at home so often.
Yeah.
And I imagine the same thing for family and friends because everyone's just at home, not really wanting to go out
Hmm.
because just it, that's what we're supposed to be doing right now.
Yeah.
Staying safe, keeping others safe. But in terms of the racism that's happening, that stems from COVID-19, it's really disappointing.
Yeah.
You know, being Chinese and Canadian, um, and living in this culture where being open, being friendly, being Canadian, like that
Hmm.
entire brand of being Canadian, and then seeing it happen in our own country, in our own city, it's very disappointing. Um, I honestly, the people need to realize that there's different cultures everywhere in different parts of the world, and some cultures may accept others, some
Hmm.
cultures might not accept other cultures, and it's a matter of perspective. Like my last point, right? To each their own. You
Yeah.
do you. I understand that, like, you know, the bat eating. I don't even know what I should call it. The incident occurred in China,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Northern China is known to eat and consume exotic animals. One of the most infamous ones are dogs.
Yeah.
Right? As a Chinese person, I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
But I'm also not like maybe perhaps I'm Chinese too. I'm not gonna say you guys are completely messed up.
Hmm.
I'm gonna say, look, that's your culture.
Yeah.
You do you. I understand. I personally understand it's inhumane, but there are probably other cultures out there that do something as inhumane or as unethical to the level of eating a dog. It
Hmm.
might not be the same as eating a dog, but I don't want to say any examples that I know are untrue,
Yeah.
but oh shoot, did you hear that? My sister just
I do hear that in the background.
I mean, yeah. Being at home with two siblings has also been an experience. But yeah, like every culture has definitely something that will trigger another culture and is
Yeah.
unacceptable by other cultures. Um, and I see a lot of that between West and East cultures. And it's just, I think you need to keep an open mind
Yeah.
when things like this are happening. But I don't think being racist and bullying one race is any any justification, like any justifiable action. It's not doing any good at all.
Hmm.
You're spreading more hate, and it's just disappointing.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's so disheartening, especially, I mean, I'm lucky enough to have grown up in a city that's very diverse. So I've grown up around so many different cultures, including cultures located over East Asia, right? And,
Mhm.
knowing so many of my friends and just thinking about how there's people who don't know them who could just be making racist comments to them all because of a virus that they had no part in. It's really saddening and everything. Al- It's also especially because we still don't know really how this virus came to be. There's still theories right now going around and they're still working, but it's still just unknown, right? They don't know if it came from a bat, if it came from a lab, if it came from another animal in a wet market, or even something else, right? So we really
Right.
still don't know, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's just sad seeing people react with racism. And yeah, I'm sorry some of you guys have to
And
go through
media,
that. Why does my light keep going off?
yeah,
Ah,
I can hear it perfectly.
my production value is going down. One sec. There we go.
Oh, good. I also think a lot of it has to do with the media. Media outlets are some are bound to
Yeah.
twist it a little bit. The semantics of the news headers and whatnot, like it really changes how people perceive
Yeah.
and gather the insights from those articles. And media definitely has they need to have a responsibility of spreading the correct message to their audiences because they are a catalyst of this racism. I for sure
Hmm.
understand that. Like even influencers, I would say people with influence, organizations with influence, they should have that responsibility to make sure that people are being well informed, that they're
Yeah.
not spreading hate, that in a time of need like this, racism is the last thing that we need. Yeah, I think somewhere I read was I think it was like a pandemic doesn't care if you're black, white, Asian, or anything in between.
Hmm.
You're still gonna get it if
Yeah.
you be stupid.
Yeah, that's true. And it's actually, it's funny that you go to that saying, because actually, if you look at data over in the States, it's actually mostly Hispanic people and African American
Mhm.
people who are suffering the hardest. I mean, most of that has to definitely do with their healthcare system and poverty, right? But it's
Mhm.
it's kind of just, yeah, fascinating to see what's going on in the States versus Canada. Well, in Canada, it's been pretty all right. I mean, we're pretty lucky with our healthcare system. We won't suffer financially if we have to go to the hospital, right? And then our numbers have been also pretty low. We've been lucky enough that we have unemployment insurance that people have been able to get. A lot of people in the States
Mhm.
are still waiting September for their checks for unemployment, but we've been able
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
receive unemployment where we can get 2,000 a month, which has been great, really
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah. Even today they released the Canadian Emergency Students Benefits Fund.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
So I know you probably have a ton of friends too, but there's a lot of people who weren't able to get unemployment insurance due to like they hadn't worked enough in the past year or something like that. But now they're able to get some money to help for their schooling because they can't work this summer, which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Just for the viewers out there, if you have the Canadian Emergency Response Benefit Fund, so CERB, unfortunately, you're not eligible for the Canadian Emergency
Yeah.
Students Benefit Fund. So just another difference.
Yeah, but also if you're a BC resident, you can now get a $1,000 check tax free as well. If you're,
Oh,
and that can go on top of CERB. So there's all kinds of different things
mhm.
that we can access that we're really lucky to, because not a lot of other countries are doing that or are able
Yeah.
to pass it because their politics is so back and forth and everything.
Yeah. So how do you think Canada has been doing in terms of the response to COVID compared to other countries, without naming specific
Yeah.
countries per se?
Yeah, I mean, I think economically we've been making uh, some of the better choices, making sure we put cash into the hands of the people versus putting cash into the big companies and kind of letting them do what they want. Because I know what they're trying to do is they're trying to put cash into the big companies' hands so that they spread it out across the rest of the company, so it keeps going down, down. But a lot of the time, just goes to stockholders. So I really have been appreciating how we're just doing direct payments. And I think
Mhm.
we can actually kind of cycle this off to another topic, UBI and
Mhm.
Andrew Yang, who we both have been keeping up with. So how about you just tell me your thoughts on UBI and specifically, I guess, Andrew Yang's run for president this last year?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let me preface this by saying I am definitely not someone who you would consider political.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I really, when it comes to politics, I try to stray away from it because I just understand there's so much negativity and confusion around it. I'm for sure one of those people who are confused about it all the time. The
Yeah.
fancy English that they use, I'm like, oh, I've never heard those words before.
Yeah.
But anyways, um, Andrew Yang to me, he was like a great guy. He when watching his debates, he gets right to the point, and he doesn't take it like a nice little detour that where they're like, "Yeah, thank you for your question. Before I talk about this answer, I'd like to talk about this answer." But Andrew, when I listen to his debates, I'm like, "Wow, this is impressive." He actually calculates in his head and speaks right to the point, and he carries himself as a very confident and natural leader. I understand that he went to law school and then he dropped out and
He
started.
dropped out of law. He graduated from law school, was a
Oh,
lawyer, and then after like I think it was 6 months, he
uh,
said, "This isn't for me. I'm gonna go into entrepreneurship."
that's insane,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Most people, if they have a steady stream of education and they have a job lined up, they go there and then they do it. But then, the fact that there was so much to lose, it speaks, I think, to his character about what he's willing to do in terms of accomplishing his goals. And ultimately, by running as president, like that shows that he is willing to do to the same level, I guess, relatively, to
Hmm.
drop out of law school and like try to help out the American people.
Yeah. No,
And
I'm
I
with
think
you there.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm. In terms of UBI, um, I think financing UBI would be difficult logistically. Having to understand where are these monthly payments coming from? Are they going to be taxed? How is it going to be taxed? Whose pocket is it coming from? Do only certain people get it? Like if you make an income less than 50,000, do you get 1,000 every month? If you make it above, do you contribute to the fund?
Hmm.
A lot of things logistically, but if we look at the base case that everyone gets $1,000 per month, I think it actually has a couple benefits. One, I don't think it incentivizes people to stop working. Of course, there will be cases where people are like, "Yes, $1,000, stop
Hmm.
working. I'm gonna go employ, spend my money at like buying games or something." And yeah, I can see the like why people are against supporting a UBI just because we want everyone to be contributing their value back to society. However, I also can imagine those who might get laid off due to increased automation and augmentation of their industry. For example, a personal forecast, I guess, is I think that within the next 10, 15 years, uh, banks will be highly automated. Like tellers will be gone. a lot of it will be done online, and perhaps the only time you have to go in person is, you know, you have a duffel bags of cash and you need to drop it off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you know, from that, can you imagine how many tellers would be laid off? How many branch managers would be laid off? Like advisors too. So with that being said, you know, that $1,000 could really just support them month by month to for them to be able to get the skills that they need to hop into another industry. It really builds up the, I guess, the individuals to start innovating themselves and the skills that they carry to learn something else, as well as join an industry that does need help. So I see that as another benefit. That's actually one of the highest benefits. I think it really pushes people um, to explore. My last point would be to that UBI is going to, in my opinion, balance out equality.
Mm-hmm.
Within the labor market, you know, the stats are that men are generally in like dominate the, I guess, higher ranking positions within a company, which means they get more pay than women. Should should men get should everyone get a UBI?
Mm-hmm.
I think that the way that it would balance out equality or bring more equality is, you know, we often hear the situation of stay-at-home moms. You know, they have to stop working because they have children, and now they can't really use their skills anymore. And the dad is the breadwinner, comes back with the money, or it doesn't have to be mom and dad. It could be just, you know, someone that's at home with children or with responsibilities, and then the other person is out there working. Just so that I'm clear, not just guy and girl.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think, you know, but just using, you know, guy and girl, the very traditional example, where the male is the breadwinner and the female is usually at home, which I strongly don't agree with. I think that with the UBI, companies are now like able to balance out their work schedules and, I guess, their human capital needs. And you know, I think with the UBI, we'll see an increase of more males staying at home with children, and that really enhances that, you know, parent to child bond. And you know, there we might see an opposite switch in terms of the labor market being filled with more females, or and less of a dominated industry. Sorry, is that the right term? Yeah, less of a male dominated workforce.
Yeah.
So I think those are my main 3 points. Again, logistically, probably going to be difficult, but I think it should be something that needs to be researched more before implemented. And should it be implemented, I think has great benefits.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm with you for 100% on like everything you said. Income inequality is a pretty big
Yeah.
topic nowadays. And it's so true that it's so hard to make anything out of nothing. So if you have like,
Yeah.
there's this whole argument, well, it just takes hard work and then you can get there. That's true in a lot of sense, but sometimes if you were just working, but you're putting all of your money towards trying to uh, get food on the table for your family, pay your mortgage, you're not able to put a lot of that effort into what you want to do to support your family or to make it big, right? So if you have
Yeah.
that starting income of $1,000, right? It's capitalism where no one starts at zero. It allows people to find that work they want to do. It allows people to set money aside for their family, for
Sure.
their dreams. And given how just the world's changing, especially in first world countries, how economies are changing, it leads to something more human centered, which I really like.
Yeah.
And yeah, a little bit on, yeah,
I
like
think.
with stay at home moms too, like people like stay-at-home moms, teachers, caregivers are all very underappreciated in society, and
Mm,
they all deserve a lot more. So UBI would be a great thing for them, just to like show them, hey, you're not working, but you're still getting this $1,000 a month to take care of the
yeah.
kids you're taking care of, and that's real. That's just an awesome task itself. And then also, I am 100% going to take paternity leave. I I don't want my wife sticking
Yeah.
around hanging with the kids all the time, and I don't get to hang out with the kids. I'm like, here in Canada, you can take a paternity leave. I'm taking that paternity leave. I want a year with my kids.
I want to watch Star Wars with them.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that. Watching Star Wars, watching Marvel, watching Lord of the Rings. That's going to be beautiful. Making blanket forts with my
Yeah.
kids, taking them on fun trips,
Oh.
watching Disney movies
Mhm.
with them, carrying them up into bed and putting them in their bed. Yeah, that's the dream, isn't it?
And then they'll think that they were transport. They teleport it into bed.
Mm-hmm. I'll just tell
Yeah.
them, oh, it was Santa.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, I remember the days when I still made blanket forts. It was honestly being that small of a child and
Mm-hmm.
then making like a blanket fort from like the couches or like on top of a ladder or something. Like you think you're actually in a castle. It was
Yeah.
insane. Yeah.
It's such a cool feeling, just like having supporting beams of pillows and then
Yeah.
the top roof, a blanket for it. It's great. I watch Community a lot, and there's this one episode where they make a huge pillow fort, blanket fort thing. I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm like, can't we have that at UBC? I want that.
Petition. Petition.
Petition. Once this coronavirus is over and we're back at school, we're
Yeah.
having a school-wide blanket fort in the nest.
Yeah. Dr. Ono, please.
Please, Santa.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now taking it back from UBI to Andrew Yang though as well, with his character, I am with you so much on his character. You could just kind of see how real of a person he was, how genuine. Like the one thing people say is like, oh, he's not a politician, he doesn't have that experience. But also, I think it kind of benefits him not being a politician because he's been in the working force, right?
Isn't the
He's
American president
yeah,
not a politician either?
Donald Trump's not a politician, but a lot of people will argue that's why we don't want someone who's never been a politician
Mm.
in the seat. But yeah, I mean, you can tell like he didn't just run for president because he's always dreamt of being president, right? He had a job that was secure, that was helping him support his family, that was doing something that he seemed was beneficial for others. And he decided to leave that because he saw that there was something that no one else was running on. And he decided that he was going to put himself out there and do that. And just from that, so much respect.
Agree.
Yeah.
100%. I
Yeah.
think that's volume to the person he is.
Yeah, and I've always just enjoyed listening to him, watching his debates, listening to podcasts with him, his own podcast too, just seeing the kind of conversations he has. But I mean, I don't know if you saw this a month ago. There was an article that came out that kind of got some people a little mad. He made some comments about the Asian American community. I'd actually like to read it out and see what you'll think, because I know there's a lot of mixed thoughts. But this was him addressing the coronavirus and Asian racism that's going on. And he says, we need to step up, help our neighbors, donate gear, vote, wear red, white, and blue, volunteer, fund aid organizations, and do everything in our power to accelerate the end of this crisis. We should show without a shadow of a doubt that we are Americans who will do our part for our country in this time of need. And that was addressed to Asian Americans. So I don't know if you have seen that or if you have any thoughts on that, because I know some people got mad about him having to say stuff like how Asian Americans have to show their Americanness. And then some other people think his message is more about taking the higher road, right? And being the bigger person in a sense.
So he was addressing this directly to the Asian American community?
Yeah. So this is an op-ed, and he was talking about the racism going on down in the States due to coronavirus. And he was directing this towards Asian Americans about what they can do to overcome this. Right. And some people got mad saying, why do I need to work on overcoming this when this is voice crack, when this is not something I should ever have to overcome. And there's been a lot of actually really great conversations coming from this, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
I think it depends on your perspective for sure. You know, on one side, it is a general message to, hey, support your neighbors. On the other, one may interpret it as, why do I have to prove my worth?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I have to prove that Asian Americans are less American than my neighbors. I think the message was with good intent.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think it's, being Asian in a Western society is different, I think. I grew up partly in China, where everyone looks the same. Not really. That wasn't meant to be a racist joke, but
Mm-hmm.
as in like, like we all have black hair, we're all like relatively the same skin tone. That's what I meant by
It's very
everyone's the same.
homogenous. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think being Asian in a very really Western society where we see a huge culture clash, not clash, sorry, like a huge mix of cultures and different ethnicities, and how Canada is like a melting pot, and like, sorry, is it America's the melting pot and then Canadian is
North America melting pot. Maybe we're the
melting pot.
lid. We're the lid on the pot.
Yeah. So when I'm just sharing my personal thoughts now.
Mm-hmm.
When I first came to Canada, I was like, wow, so many different people. You know, I've never seen these people before. I've seen them in TV shows, the news, but then, now that I'm the new kid, the different kid, I felt like I had to fit in somehow. Do the things that my friends did, or try to act more like them. It's very different to find your worth, or find your identity within such a huge world of different brands and identities. And speaking more towards Andrew Yang's point, when I came to Canada and I got my citizenship, I was already Canadian by law.
Yeah.
So just like the Americans that he is referring to, not, I'm just going to refer to them as Americans, not Asian Americans, because that creates even more divide. Like Chinese Canadians. Why not just say Canadians if you got a Canadian passport?
Mm-hmm.
Defining nationality is also a different topic. But it's I think he's just trying to spread positivity.
Mm-hmm.
As a community that is like scrutinized during this time of COVID, where a lot of blame and racism is targeted towards them. I think he's probably trying to say, like, although this community is receiving this, we shouldn't be lesser people. We should just do the same, do what anyone else should be doing, help each other out, do these good deeds instead of like not doing anything at all. And I think that's what he's targeting at, and not rather, hey, Chinese Americans, you guys do it, especially you guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very general message towards all his supporters and those who follow him on Twitter, or the other platforms. I think people just need to see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Not get so hurt by a tweet.
Mm-hmm.
I know words do have their meaning and they are painful, but sometimes people just need to look at it from a different perspective and try to understand what the other side is going through, what the other side means, and then taking that really holistic view and then moving forward from there, instead of being tunnel vision and thinking that person means this, exactly this, and I am offended.
Yeah. Actually, what you said there about how this message can actually just be sent to everyone, not just Asian Americans or Asian Canadians. Like, I've never heard that from someone who's talked about this. And I think that's actually really just enlightening, because I'm reading this and I'm thinking, like, everyone could follow this, right? Everyone can donate, everyone can volunteer and fund aid organizations. Like, that can be done by everyone. And really, during these times, I think that's what's going to bring us together, because I've been seeing a lot of divide happening due to this pandemic. And it's so funny seeing how divided we are as a people, really. I mean, looking back at other stages in human history, thinking back to the world wars and everything, seeing how that brought countries together, seeing how World War I brought a sense of nationality for Canadians, right? Brought us together. And this pandemic is something that's so big and drastic to everyone's life, but it doesn't seem like people are coming together. In fact, people are just getting a lot just angry at each other. And, if everyone just follows kinds of these steps, it really could, possibly bring us together.
Yeah, and it makes me question, if we don't do this correctly, the Asian community is only going to see more racism and negativity after we come out of COVID.
Hmm. What a world we live in, right?
In terms of career, I
Yeah.
want to end up somewhere to near healthcare,
Hmm.
because I think our healthcare system, speaking to just within Canada, I think it's great, super nice, super cool. But I also owe a lot to hospitals, doctors, nurses. Because growing up, I have never been, well, I used to be a very unhealthy child, going to the hospital almost like every other week because something was happening to me. My latest trips to the hospital were just regarding my lung. And
Hmm.
so I owe a lot to the medical workers who are the essential workers, like running the city right now and keeping everyone alive. Um, so the reason why I want to talk a little bit about this is because um, definitely after a lot of people, when they think business student, they think big company, uh,
Hmm.
director level, corporate, like just the corporate environment. However, I don't really see myself staying in that environment for too long. I definitely want to gain that experience and learn as much as I can, should I go into that environment. But at the end of the day, I really want to give back to the community that I was raised in and experienced a lot in. And so, taking the route of a non-med student within the healthcare industry, and then more on the biz dev, business development side of thing, I definitely want to help contribute and reshape the way our healthcare model currently works, and to make it better for the future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's always things we can keep working on and improving. And it's
Mhm.
awesome just to see how you're working to kind of have that for your future, have that impact on your own community that you've grown up in. And like I've seen tons of people in Sauder who aren't going into business to work for big companies. A lot of them are going to work for nonprofits,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I think a lot of students, not just business and commerce students, I think a lot of students need to understand that money isn't everything, and rather it's the value that you create through the line of work that you do.
Hmm.
Is it something that makes you happy? Is it something that every day you want to be there, you want to create that value, you want to do something with the skills that you have to, in order to better someone else's life or create value in someone, some other people or community. um, I think understanding that is very important. And a lot of people, and especially students, tunnel vision themselves into industries and lines of work that are not really reflective of what they truly believe and value. I think the theme of this entire talk is really about perspective and being open to a lot of things, especially new ideas.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
For
like
yourself.
we've been talking about this, and that's something like UBI would probably help with, being
Yeah.
able to allow people to put more into their own small communities,
Yeah.
right? And also, just I relate so much to that stereotype about faculty, how this person's going into this job and stuff. Because in sciences, as soon as you tell someone I'm in sciences, they're like, "You want to be a doctor? You're going to med school," and I'm like, "No." That's not what I'm doing. And there's other people who are the same. They're just like, I don't want to go into med school. I'm in sciences or something else. I'm in sciences for research. I'm in sciences to go into education, right? And you see
Mhm.
that with other places like arts, where it's like, no, I'm not just taking a poli sci major to become a politician. There's other stuff I want to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Again, with that perspective thing,
yeah,
don't think so narrowly.
yeah. Don't live with these generalizations of what a good life is like, right? Like there's all kinds of different paths you can take. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, looking at all these successful people in life and looking at what steps they took to getting to the places they're at, a lot of them took back roads. A lot of them went the unorthodox route to get where they are because that's something no one else was doing, right?
Yeah.
And what
Yeah.
you're doing right now is so very different than a lot of people. And I think it's going to help you a lot, especially not just the path you're taking, but a lot of things you like to do.
Mhm.
For example, you're a very personal person, but also how active you are, right? It's great having people who are enthusiastic on going for bike rides, going climbing, because you can share these hobbies with people. It's not just about your academic life, but it's also about your personal life too, and
Yeah,
how you are there.
100%. I was gonna say, to your last point about the unorthodox way, if you were looking at successful people now,
Mm-hmm.
there Steve Jobs at the, I think, Stanford commencement, where he delivered a speech, he said that, and this is not word by word, but when you look at your life moving forward, you don't really know what the path is, but you have to just trust it. At the not end of your life, but when you look back at your life, you kind of see those dots in your life where experiences happen, and it all connects. So if you look back now, you can understand why you took the course you did, or did this extracurricular experience, or did this job, or helped this person, etc. But all of these things link up if you're looking back. So, but like, I guess for students now who are in their penultimate year of university, like for me, example, like I am very unsure about what I want to go into. I don't really want a specific job or industry yet. I know what I want in terms of the value I want to deliver and what my mission is as a human living on this earth. But I just don't want to limit myself. But I also have so many like opportunities and doors available. Is not just just trusting that path that I choose for myself. And ultimately, you do have to choose for yourself, because that's a life that you're living and not someone else's. But just trusting that path or that decision, and then understanding that when you do look back a year, 5 years, 10, 20, 15, 50, that all the dots will connect.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? I think that's probably the perfect way to end off this podcast, kind of with this
Yeah.
episode. Because, yeah, that was a great message, really, at the end. And it's true. Like, there's so many different things that impact us in our lives. It could be the smallest of interactions with a person that can
Mm.
change our course,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
it's just kind of fascinating. Like, I mean, we're at UBC right now, but it's been so crazy seeing all these people we've met in first year, seeing the paths they've been on and how crazy their lives have changed, or some of the incredible
Yeah.
things they've done.
100%. Like everyone's set on their own path, and like the friends I met in first year, the people, let's just say the people I met in first year, us all starting the same place as like lost little first year, and then seeing where they are now, the things that they have done between first year and now, it's incredible. Everyone does really have their own path, and yeah, speaking to that point, I was just saying before, be yourself, and eventually the dots will connect.
Yeah.
Yeah, of
Awesome. Well, Eric, thank you for joining me for the first episode.
course.
Hopefully people like it enough that we can film some more episodes and have you back as well for more talks. As I love talking to you, buddy. You're always a great person to
Uh,
talk to and have insights with. Yeah.
Perfect. After this is all over, we're gonna have one in person.
Oh, for sure. 100%.
Yeah.
That'd be so much more fun. I am tired of Zoom calls already.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, thanks everyone for listening, and hopefully we'll be back with you some other day in the future. Hopefully. All right. See ya.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yes.